When you first see the replica of the Tomb of the Unknown in the community gym at Papillion Landing, you first notice the quiet. It's also a little chilly in the room, and in many ways, it's kind of awe-inspiring.
The space is perfect for it, and when we set it up to where you walk in and see it front and center when you first come in, it's pretty impactful. We set the flags up behind it to help with that. Not to forget what...
Ted Pafford is the commander of American Legion Post 32, and he knew pretty quickly when approached about sponsoring the display that it would be a go.
When I heard of the idea right at the get-go, I thought, well, this is probably a no-brainer. I said, we can have a meeting, but in my mind, I said, we're going to do it. If they're willing to provide the space for it, I was sure funding wouldn't be a problem with the post.
These soldiers will be buried in the Tomb of the Unknowns at Arlington National Cemetery.
Along with the tomb, the wreath, and flags is a 15-minute video that explains more about our nation's most sacred shrine.
We could hear the crowd, and some kids in the parade were asking their parents, asking them why we stand when the flag comes by. So I got to thinking, to educate the younger generation.
After a long moment of silence, President Eisenhower placed a Medal of Honor on each casket.
I've watched it over and over, and every time I watched it, I learned something new about it, the history of it.
The sarcophagus was first placed over the tomb in 1931 and is made up of 7 pieces of white marble, together weighing 79 tons.
Here rests, in honored glory, an American soldier, known but to God. The Tomb of the Unknown Soldier has been guarded 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, regardless of weather. The Sentinels continue their watch.
This display will only be in place at the landing for a week, but Ted hopes it can inspire everyone who visits to better understand a soldier's sacrifice.
Not to forget what the display, what it stands for, the unknown soldiers. And just like the story says, we don't know these guys' story.
We know the stories of these men, but we know they gave their lives in a war they did not start to protect the freedom of people who would never know their names.
For Papillion Now, I'm Michael Severe.